Welcome to International Love Story, a podcast about long distance and multicultural relationships. My name is Christina, and today I'd like to welcome you with my new setup, which also includes video. It's something completely new for me as well. And I would also love to welcome Kyomi and Leo sitting in Peru right now. Thank you so much for your time, guys.
Hello, thank you for the invitation.
Thank you, Christina. We are very happy to be here with you.
So I'm really looking forward to get to know you guys a little bit better, because we are in contact since a while already, since a couple of months. I even think since you started your blog, this is something we're going to talk about later, because you do have a blog that's covering specific topics about LDRs. And yeah, I just feel like because I see your posts, I'm reading your articles, and I was just very curious to get to know the people behind it. And it's very exciting for me to see you in persona in Peru right now with the 2 hours time difference. And I'm also sure that there are a lot of people out there who would love to get to know you as well. So before we start the little interview, please just go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, so my name is Leo. I am 27 years old, and I am French. And as you said, actually we are together in Peru. We had the chance and we took the opportunity to spend all these years, the years 2021 together in the country of Kyomi. And before we stayed 10 months in distance, we start our relationship and our LDR in the same time than the pandemic of coronavirus in March of the last year, in 2020.
I am Kyomi. I'm Peruvian. I'm 22 years old. And yes, let's say we start our long distance relationship in March the last year. Actually, we wasn't sure when we will be able to see us again because of the pandemic. You never know, but thanks to the pandemic too, we are able to stay more than expected. We was here in Peru since January of 2021, and it was a very good experience because I know many couples wasn't able to be together. So I feel very happy for the opportunity we had, and yes, we plan to close the distance one day too.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. When Kyomi said thanks to the coronavirus, it gave us the possibility to stay together, is because actually for a stranger you can stay only 6 months maximum in Peru. But with the pandemic, Peru is in how can I say it in English? In an emergency state,
Mm-hmm.
and they freeze the visa,
Mm-hmm.
and it permits me to stay a longest time than 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this is our last week together because for Christmas I will come back to France the next Saturday, the next week.
So soon already. So to go back in time a little bit, you met each other in 2019 online, because this is what I read on your blog.
Yes.
So to close the timeline, how did it all started? Like, how did you guys get to know each other?
Actually, we met online, like you and Nacho, but it was on another application.
It was not a dating app.
It wasn't a date application. It was a
Language application.
Language exchange application. The name is Tandem. Actually, in 2020, it was my last years of studying, and after my study, I wanted to travel alone in another part of the country. It was a dream I had since many years, and the best moment was just before, after my study, and before to find a common job.
Mhm.
And I download this application, which permits me to speak with a native from all over the world, because I wanted to go in Latin America.
Mhm.
And so I downloaded it at the end of 2020, and I met Kyomi in December. And Kyomi decided to download this application to learn French. And
Yeah, I wanted to learn language too, because it was very great that you can speak with a native and you can just practice the language. So the algorithm find Leo to me, and we start to speak
Yep.
in French and Spanish. But first we start to communicate in English, because I didn't know French and Leo didn't know Spanish. So we start like day by day, start to be like a conversation to know each other more than to know about the language. So it was very funny.
Mhm.
And so after that, after the first day, we start to speak day and night. And I think you can know how it was very frustrating to be able to speak, but only to speak and not to see us.
Mhm.
And I decided to travel to Peru in March. So 4 months after we started to speak.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we were lucky or unlucky, but it was from the 7th of March to the 21.
The plan was
Yeah, the plan was to travel from the 7th to the 21. But unfortunately, because of the COVID, all the frontiers of the world start to close approximately at this period. And after 1 week in Peru, the 14th, the country decided to close the frontiers.
So there was no way at all for you to come back.
Um,
Or was it more like, okay, you could have flew back, but you also didn't want to? Or was it maybe even a combination of both? So
no, there were two options: to come back and not traveling anymore, like to cut our meeting, or to stay in Peru until the pandemic finished. So
yeah, I was afraid about this second option, because in parallel I had my study, I had a work, and everything was new. I was alone, far from my house, my country, my family. It was the first time in my life. And even if our first meeting with Kyomi was perfect, and we weren't totally not disappointed, it was
very risky.
yeah, very risky. Yeah.
yeah.
So fortunately, I took the last plane to Paris. So we went to the airport as soon as we learned about what happened in the country.
Mhm.
And yeah, this separation was very, very rough. It was a hard moment, because we had the time for nothing. When we arrived to the airport, the woman who took my ticket plane changed it and told me, yeah, the last plane for Paris is in 20 minutes.
Mhm.
So run if you want your plane. She told me, if you had a big
Maleta.
baggage, a maleta, who go in not a hand baggage, the very big one. She told
Yeah.
me you can't plane because everything is closed.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So you tried to come back, but you basically couldn't.
no, finally I took the plane.
Ah, you
But
did. Sorry, I misunderstood.
I
You did. Okay.
we didn't have time to say goodbye. We had the time for nothing. Like we arrived in the airport, and 20 minutes later, okay, goodbye, and it was we none Kyomi and not Nomi didn't know what will happen in the future.
So to summarize it, sorry, I misunderstand. I thought you extended your stay because you couldn't fly back to France. So to summarize, you went to Peru in March 2020. You stayed for 1 week and then the pandemic hit. Peru closed the borders. You tried to fly back to Paris. You managed to fly back, but it was just like so fast. You had to manage everything that you guys didn't even really have time to say goodbye, and you just basically jumped into the plane.
Yep, exactly. And yeah, it was very, very stressful for us because, especially for me, because I didn't have my phone because I lost it during the travel. I didn't know if my family knew I was in the plane.
Wow.
The pandemic was starting, so we didn't know what will happen, what's happening, no?
Yep, at this moment, the entire world didn't know what was it.
Yeah, you just hear the planes are closing or the frontiers are closed, so just that it was like what?
So yeah, as I told you, in the left hand, we were lucky because we had the opportunity to meet before the pandemic arrived. But in the right hand, our travel have been totally stopped 1 week before, and without the possibility to see the future, to create plans and to project us.
But was it like when you flew to Peru? I mean, in reality, you texted each other. You most probably also had a few phone calls. But is there a specific time where you officially start dating? If you look back, was there like that one moment you both were like, okay, there is actually love involved, which made it harder afterwards to leave to Paris?
Yep, as I said, when you speak with someone day and night for 1 to 3 months,
Okay.
the feeling the feeling start to be here. But
I think the 8th of March we decide to be in couple officially.
Okay.
Like we say, okay, since now you're my boyfriend, you're my girlfriend.
Yep, and before, when we were in distance, and we didn't wanted to say we're in couple because is my point of view, but for me is it's strange to say hey, we're in couple if you never met the person before. So we decided we were like, okay, let's see how is it in reality when we will see us. And let's see how is at this moment. And 1 day after I arrived, we officially our couple. It was official.
And your love story began. And I mean, that was last year in spring last year. And we are talking so in December 21. So obviously you managed the time difference, you managed the distance, you managed everything above the pandemic on distance. I'm just curious, like, as soon as you arrived in Paris, how did you brought your relationship to the next level and managed to find a solid foundation, if that makes sense? I hope you know what I mean by that, but especially in the beginning, you are head over heels, you're like super in love, you want to see each other like every day, you want to talk to each other every day. And then you do have so many factors you can't change, basically, throwing in your way. And I guess it's a lot to handle. So I'm just wondering how your relationship went on from the moment you stepped foot to Paris. What happened afterwards?
In a year, there is always 2 moments. There is before you met your couple and after, because after we finally met, we were sure about our emotion, sure about our couple, and we were stronger than before. And the fact the pandemic totally cut off our travel, our project, and our 2 weeks together, it permit us to, I had this feeling of inachievable, something not finished.
Yeah, you need to do something more. But there is something you didn't finish, so you want to do it, yes or yes.
So yeah, the first week was very hard for us because we, not including only us, but we were thinking about all the other couple who was totally blocked. And yep, when I came back to Paris, we stayed 10 months in distance, and it's really at this moment we learned what was healthier. To miss the other, the routine, the daily life that hit you every day, and yeah, it was a few complicated to manage this moment, but we were convinced, Kyomi and I, that our story will continue. And yeah, I think there is a point which is very important, is to be engaged, involved in the situation at the same level. If, for example, Kyomi put this of energy in our LDR and me only this,
that's not working.
In the long term, yeah, it can't work.
Yeah. And Kyomi, how was it for you when you had to say goodbye at the airport and everything was rushed and everything was so fast and you didn't know what's happening? How did it make you feel in that very moment?
Yeah, it was very frustrated, and I didn't know how to feel, because I think it's different when you know when you will see the other person, but when you don't know, it starts to be like, okay, I'm doing this for something, maybe it's for nothing, maybe this will never work, maybe yes.
Yeah,
it was very complicated to project us in the future. So I only could trust in the person we are, in the love we have right now, and just continue. But yeah, it was frustrating and a little bit difficult too.
There is something who helped us a lot. You can explain, Kyomi, about the challenge we did?
Oh, yep. I think one of the biggest, not biggest, but one of the common problems that LDR have is the routine. Like all the days, like, yeah, you do this, you do that. There is nothing more, because you don't live too much experience together.
Especially during the pandemic, when you stay home all the day.
So Leo created a challenge we have to do every week. It was very funny, and we really get involved in the relationship thanks to the challenge.
Because I told Kyomi, hey, I create a list of 26 challenge. You don't know what is a challenge in advance. Let's do it each Monday. Let's choose. You will have to choose a number between 1 and 26, and we will do this challenge together.
Yeah, like have a surprise you will have to do the next week. You don't know what we have to do next week. We just have to be prepared. So I was always waiting the Monday to know what we're gonna do this week, and it was very motivated to do something different. To wait something different every week.
So this was something for you to look forward, while other couples who, like Nacho and I, we dated before, we closed the distance before the pandemic hit, obviously, like long before. And we knew like, hey, in 4 months, we're going to see each other again. So we had something to look forward to, but you don't have that. So you search for something else and you switched it out. This is very smart, actually. I love it.
We try to adapt ourselves to the situation, because as you said, we didn't know when the frontier will be open.
Yeah.
So yeah. But it was a very, very helpful for us.
And how did it went from there. So obviously you made it work and you found a routine even though you're on distance, and you're keeping your relationship interesting, because I also know how that sometimes you just get bored when you're on the phone, and at some point you just don't know what to talk about anymore, just to be honest. I don't know if you feel the same, but this is at least how I felt, or how we felt when having longer phone calls. It's obviously something else than just being in person together or being on the phone. But what else was there? What else did you do to keep or to get yourself out of the routine of just being like maybe even bored of each other? I know this sounds very strong. I don't mean it in that way, but I think you know what I'm trying to say with that, especially you guys being in a long distance relationship, that sometimes it's just like, huh, what are we gonna talk about?
Yep, we continue to, we try to spend each video call doing different activities.
Mm-hmm.
And
actually, we say that if we get boring, we will try to stop talking for 3 months, and to keep, I mean, if we continue having the feeling of the 3 months we didn't speak, we will continue working on that, because we was afraid that with the distance, with the feeling you don't know when you will see the person, we will get boring speaking the same every day, like something like this. But we decide to continue speaking, even if sometimes can be boring, because we trust that it's part of, I think.
Mm.
And yeah, but this at the end of July, August, for my part, I was a few busy with the end of my study. I don't know how it's in Germany, but at the end of your courses in France, you have a big works to do, who take you yeah, lots of hours of work. And but yeah, as Kyomi said, we try to continue to speak, to play question games too.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, to always stay focused about when will be our next meeting. Actually, we plan to come back at for the new year, but it was just a goal, and we were like, okay, if it's possible to be together for the new year, let's do it. We will see the evolution of the pandemic and the opening of the frontiers. We keep these days in our mind, in focus, like our goal, and it helped us to have a vision.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it was not very, even if nothing was sure, we had this feeling that that it was the objective.
Mm-hmm. And when did you exactly like went to Peru again? Or actually, I have so many questions. Kyomi, first of all, have you been to France already? Were you able to visit him in France in between?
No, yet.
Not yet.
No.
Okay. So
plan
you, Mhm.
Yeah, continue.
So you, Leo, you went to Peru in March 2020. And then a couple of months ago, you went again and you just stayed longer.
Yep, I finally came back in Peru at the beginning of this year, so in January 2021.
Ah, okay. And since then
It
you're
was
staying. Okay.
it was a few complicated, and it was a few complicated because
Mm-hmm.
the border start to open.
Mm-hmm.
We had a vision because the Peru decided to open with Latin America in October or November, I think. And 1 month later, it was with the US and Canada. So in our mind, we were okay. So in 1 month, it will be with Europe, or it will be extended step by step. So yeah, I took a ticket plane to come the 27th of December.
Mhm.
And it was a few complicated because I don't remember what happened, but Peru decided to close again only for Europe.
Mhm.
And they only said, okay, we will close only for the next 2 weeks. And 2 weeks after, they say they will say if this open or if the frontier are still closed. I don't know if you understand everything.
Peru say, okay, we will close the frontiers for the next 2 weeks. And after the 2 weeks, they say, okay, we close the frontiers for 2 weeks more.
Okay.
It was like this since October until December. And when December arrived, they continue saying the same. So we was like, okay, so...
So I had to modify my ticket plane each time.
2 weeks.
And there were a solution because actually the Peru decided to close the frontiers for plane who come from Europe, but not French people. So if I took a plane to go to Panama, for example, and after a plane to Panama to Lima, the capital of Peru, theoretically, I can enter. So when I told my family I was planning to say that, to do it, they told me, if I was in your shoes, I would stay here and wait. But when you are waiting since 4 months to see again your couple, and as I said at the beginning of this video, my plan after my study was to travel. I wanted to travel too. I was like, okay, we have only one life, and I will try. So this is what I did in January. I passed to the Panama, and after I took a plane to arrive to Lima. And 2 days after,
they closed for Panama too.
Yeah,
you were lucky.
They say European people who pass from a third country to come to Peru, they can't.
Yeah.
So I have been very lucky this day.
Which I think is just like, if you think about, like, worst case that could have happened to you is that you get somehow stuck in Panama alone.
Yeah,
and that's actually also interesting because, you know, after all, and this is also something I've mentioned in other episodes already, love just doesn't know borders. So for you, it was just like you were stubborn enough to just go for it and to figure it out and to find a way to be with Kyomi. And even though if that would mean maybe getting stuck in a country you don't even know, which in that case would have been Panama, and you were lucky enough to exit Panama 2 days before they actually closed the borders to Peru. And it's just like, you know, if you think about it, like a normal thinking person, like someone who's not in your shoes, someone who's not in your situation, would just say like, hey, you're crazy. Why are you doing this? Like, how crazy? Just stay in France. The pandemic is a mess. We don't know how long it's going to take. We don't know what's going to be happen. Is there going to be a second, third? In Germany, we have the fourth wave now, you know. It's a completely mess, but you were stubborn enough to be just like, I'm out of here. I just fly to Peru via Panama, and if something happens, something happens. But if I don't try out, who knows when we see each other again? And
at least across an ocean, so we are closer. He's stuck in Panama.
Yeah, and I think you told me if you can't enter to Peru, I will come to see you in Panama.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, I just love how far love can go, and if you just if you found the one, you just like anything else will not matter anymore. So you don't care about what others are saying. You don't care about all those voices from outside. And even though if your mind at some point, I don't know if you had like this little voice in your head, Leo, that told you, actually, this is crazy. Should I really do it? And then on the other hand, you were like, I'll just go for it.
Yes, even since I am a kid, I I always like that kind of
Emotions.
of risk. Like, okay, I will do it, and if it don't work, at least I will. I have tried.
Yeah.
But for the person who are listening us, I just wanted to say, I think I wouldn't be able to do something like this if I didn't met Kyomi before, because would be very, very risky, because even if you have a good feeling online, the feeling in real can be totally different. So I knew when I will arrive, everything will be okay, and this permits me to reassure and to convince me to do it.
Yeah, that's important.
And something who really helped me to take my decision is a testimonial. I found on Facebook group person who already did it, who passed from another country to join Peru, and they did it. So I was like, okay, if she did it, why not me? I have all the document. I know how is the situation, and even if our government said everything is closed, not really.
But I guess the plan wasn't to stay from January to the end of the year. So what was the original plan? How long did you want to stay in Peru?
My original plan was to stay 6 months. Because it's
okay.
Yeah, because it's the limit tourists can stay in Peru.
Okay.
And thanks to the emergency state, I am still here in.
Others are swearing on it, and you're like, "Oh, thanks to it, I was able to stay longer."
And I had economic. I had enough money to stay this time too, because I am not working here in Peru. I am just managing the blog. So thanks to this money, it was possible for me to stay 11 months with Kyomi.
Yeah, and one question regarding, I mean, you went from meeting each other online to seeing each other for 1 week to being on distance 10,000 kilometers or more than 10,000 kilometers apart to a few months later being together for almost 1 year and living together, right? Because you're living together right now, no?
Yes.
Is there like a huge difference between being 10,000 kilometers apart and closing the gap and all this after just seeing each other in person for one time? I mean, I thought Nacho and I are crazy when we did what we did, because I thought that's kind of an adventure already, but at least I saw him a couple of times before living together with him and before closing the gap and moving to Miami, which was huge already. But like listening to your story, it's just like you're just putting something like the cherry on top by just seeing each other for one time before hanging out for almost 1 year. You could say so. How was it for you? Was it easy for you guys to adapt, or were there any difficulties? Were you like super in love in the beginning, but then after a few weeks you were like, okay, she has some special effects and he has some special effects? How did it went for you?
Actually, it was very strange because we know couples first they meet, they go on dates, they see them the weekend, then start to pass the time. You meet the parents, you meet the friends, but us was very different. So we passed from not seeing us for 1 year to just live together. So it was very different
from an extreme to another.
Yes,
exactly.
So but I think is at the end is the same result. Like we managed to live different experience, maybe a little bit extremes, but we live experience. That is the most important.
And what what you didn't say, Kyomi, too, is when we stay in distance, it really helps us to know the other, to be sure about our future, to know the other, how I was, how Kyomi was. And yep, even if in 1 week physically together, you can't discover all the habits and the lifestyle, if I can say that, of your couple. We took all the information we needed to know, and we didn't. It's not like okay, let's do it and see how is it. No, we think about it months and months and months before. And yep, thanks to the challenge, our question, different situation, we try to exactly know how was the other in his daily life.
So that helped you guys to really get to know each other before actually kind of moving together for a specific time. Yeah.
And yet this is a point I really insist in the blog to really take the opportunities of the distance to really know the other, because LDR are not for everybody, and if you don't really know the person,
or you are not really sure about the relationship you can have, maybe it doesn't work.
I just love that part, and I'll tell you why. Because when Nacho and I, when we officially closed the distance, I still had the feeling that I really don't know him. So it still felt like, even though we dated for let's think, before closing the distance, officially dating since more than 1 year before I moved, I still had the feeling that we actually don't know each other. But that's mainly because we didn't spend enough time, in my opinion, in person, you know. And also I was afraid because I've never lived with someone else before. I've never lived with a man or with my partner before, which was extra difficult, if you could say so. And I honestly don't know if my feeling would have changed, even though if we would have had gotten all this, like, we had some deep conversations, obviously, and yes, we got to know each other, but then it's still something else, as I feel, to be honest, when you move together, because you wake up next to each other, which is amazing, but you also get to know each other on a completely different level. Obviously, you know your character, but then, for example, when it comes to, I don't know, cleaning the house, like, you know, or leaving socks or stupid things like that, it's just like, okay, so this is how he rolls, or this is how she rolls in her daily routine, because suddenly you're involved in the daily routine as well. And I hope this question is not too personal, so if you don't want to answer it, I'm completely fine with that. But I'm just like wondering, because when you explain it that way, it sounds like you knew each other through and through, like every little bit, every single bit. But wasn't there like at least one little thing you were surprised about, and you were like, oh wow, okay, I wasn't aware of this, and we have to figure it out, maybe even? Or was it from the beginning, okay, it's just smooth and everything is exactly how we planned it to be?
You want to start with the list or me?
No, yeah, let's go. I will.
I know it's a very personal question, but I do think that it's a difference having a distance relationship and suddenly living together. Even though if you know each other, there's still a difference, at least for us.
Yeah, I think it happens to many couples, even not in a long distance relationship.
True.
That you need time to meet the others, really. But yeah, with Leo it happens very quickly. So I needed to know how our daily life together. And actually, I don't know which surprised me the most.
From my point of view, I think is our way to, but I think is more something about your country than you, but is the way of manage the food and the trash, the garbage. For example, in Europe, you have to put the glasses in this part. You have to put the paper in this part.
Yeah.
The organic trash in this part. Here is no, there is only one dustbin. And but about living together, if I have been very surprised.
So there was nothing really you were shocked about.
Like
you were like, oh my God. Yeah, I mean, that's great because in our case, there were many things. So I can throw a whole list in your way, and into your way, your direction, because I do feel like, honestly, like completely open-minded, there's the culture shock. So you're living in Peru now, even though if it's just for a specific period of time, then there's this like different language, and you're communicating in English as Nacha and I, as we're doing it as well. But we had a lot of problems in the beginning to really understand each other and to find like a way of communication that worked for the both of us, because it was still something else than like being on the phone or having FaceTime calls, then suddenly speaking in person, and you have to deal with that right now, right away, because this person is standing in front of you. So that was one thing that caught me by surprise, because I really didn't have it. I didn't see it coming. I mean, it's so obvious, but then I really didn't see it coming. And then Nacho and I, we're also so different when it comes to specific things, which are basically because of our different cultures. So German and Argentinian, when it comes to time, for example, Germans, it's a cliche, but it's true. Germans, they just love to be on time, always 5 minutes early. Argentinians, they're like, oh, mañana. So it's interesting. And there were a lot of things that I didn't see coming when moving together, but we deal with it while living together and while having somehow a routine. And then it also took 3 months, for example, for us to have a routine, because we didn't know like how is our daily life going to look like. I didn't work, so I was sitting at home. I also had a blog at that point to keep myself busy, so same as you, Leo. But there were so many challenges I didn't really see coming, because I at that point didn't have anyone to talk to about what does it mean to close the distance? What does it mean to be in an intercultural relationship, So I really had no idea what to expect. But to me, it seems like you guys, before closing the gap for a while, because as you said, Leo, you're going to fly back to Paris soon. You prepared yourself by having a list of questions, having exciting activities, doing things together, and really getting to know each other, which I think is great. And thinking back, I wish I would have had it, or we would have had it, because we were shocked. Like it was like, okay, how do we roll from here? We love each other, but there are so many challenges to overcome, and we thought, okay, living together means like happily ever after, but this is not the reality, to be honest.
Yeah, fortunately, what shocked me the most in Peru was in a positive way, because for example, here everything is open very late. The people outside, I have the feeling they are nicer than French people. The family of Kyomi totally welcomed me since the first day, and
we are very noisy too.
A few, but now there is more pros than cons, and especially with his family, they I maybe you experiment this is when you arrive in Argentina. to meet the family of Nacho.
Mhm.
They want you to. They represent their country and their culture and everything about their country, and they want to make everything possible for you to have a good opinion and feel integrate and. So
Yeah,
they do a lot of effort, and yeah, it was very great.
yeah.
Really feel engaged in with his family since the first day.
That's true. That's true. I think that's a typical Latin American thing. You don't see that so often in anywhere else in Europe. That people are very, very, very welcoming in Latin America. And I remember when I met Nacho's family for the first time, they were even so welcoming. I was like, ooh, you know, I had just like 27 hours or something like this of traveling behind me. There was a time difference. I was jet lagged. And then the first day of arriving in Argentina, and that was before we officially start dating, I met his family already. And they were, how you would say, like, they welcomed me with open arms, but they really welcomed me with open arms. So they were standing at the door like this already. They saw me for the first time, and then they were just like overwhelming me by all the love and all the kindness that I was just standing there like a little kid, and I started crying because I was like, I'm jet lagged. I have so many emotions right now. I don't know what to do. And I was so emotional. I was so emotional that I immediately started crying in front of his whole family. I was like, what's happening here right now? But yeah, I can imagine that you felt the same way in Peru.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I didn't expected so much, as you said, kindness.
Yeah.
Sorry, kindness, and yeah, little attention for myself. I didn't expected that.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm so happy you've made this experience as well. It's really amazing, and I'm also very curious, like, and this brings us to like your future plans, because Kyomi, you haven't been in France yet. You haven't had the chance to meet his family yet. When is this in the planning? When do you think this is going to happen?
I plan to travel in February, at the beginning of February, to France. And yeah, I can only stay for 3 months, but we plan for me to come back in August, I think, August, September approximately. So yeah, it will be my time to know Leo's lives, Leo's families, Leo's culture. I have never been in France or Europe, never. So it will be my first time, and I hope everything will be fine.
It's February next year, you said.
Yeah.
So you'll be separated for around about maybe 2.5 months before seeing each other again next year.
Yeah. Yeah, 1 month and 1 week.
Yeah, 1 month and 10 days apart.
Even less. Amazing. So if you're gonna be in Paris, maybe we even manage to see each other, because we will continue our trip next year in spring, in March, with the van. And we don't know yet if we start in the south of Europe or maybe even in the north of Europe, but we'll definitely let you know. That would be cool.
But yeah, she will meet my family. Of course, we will go to Paris. My brother lives in Paris, so we can go for free. Nice. And there's a chance because Paris is very expensive. And I plan to. I have friends in different parts of France, in the north, in the south, in the Atlantic coast. And yeah, we are start to planning what we will do during these 3 months. But the objective is for Kyomi is first to meet my family, to meet my friends, know how I am in France. I used to tell her I am totally different in my country as a joke. So yeah, everything will be a discover.
Yeah. And I guess you're quite excited, Kyomi. Yeah.
I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
But I think everything will be okay, will be fine. I have never seen snow in my life, so it will be a discover too, because I know in February it's very cold in Europe.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's see what happened in France.
So you take it one step at a time from there on, or what's gonna happen after France? Do you have a long-term plan already?
Yeah, I mean, I plan to come back in August, September, and after we plan. Oh, you want to explain the plan?
Yeah, for the next for after August, it will depend. It will depend of our work. It will depend of our business because our first objective is not to have a common job with a country, is to have our own business online. And actually, we are working on it. And but for now, we're only at the beginning, so it will depend on this. If it's work, we will be able to work and to travel together, as you did with the van in Europe. It's something we really would like to do. And if it don't work, we had the option to go to Spain to have a common job, because it will be totally easier for Kyomi, as she speaks Spanish. So yeah, we have different plans
with different solutions in different cases. But of course, the main objective is to close the distance one day.
Yeah, because even if we spend 10 months together this year, for us, we still didn't have closed the distance, because when I arrive, I knew I will have to come back in December, and for us, close the distance is when you don't have
a ticket to come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, no return ticket. What business is it you're working on? Is this something you can officially talk about already, or is it more like in the plans but nothing official yet?
And personally, I represent the brand, an American brand in America Latina. With American, I mean United States. And it's a business you can do online, like you can work in different parts, no matter the country you are, because the brand has the products, the business in all countries of the world. So it permit me to work on France. Is to represent the products, the brand in different part of the world. So yeah, it's like an online job. I'm trying to grow up, you know. But I think it's going well until now.
Step by step. And for me, I actually have two ways to. I have to plan. The first is to work as a freelance. I don't know if it's a term only in France or if it's general. It's like to work for yourself. No, is work for somebody, but as an independent person. Like if an agency or a brand wants to do something in communication, because my study are about communication and marketing. Like a community manager, like a personal assistant, strategy of communication, marketing, that kind of things. We can work together. And the second way is with the blog. So actually, I am still focused about free content and to write an article of quality, because actually, when I launched the blog, it wasn't my idea. I really did it to help other people, to help other LDR, because I think we have an interesting story, and we manage our couple with a good way, and I wanted to share about it because there is not. I think you know it. There is not a lot of information about LDR. And in general, when you speak about long distance relationship, the society is like,
it's not a relationship.
Yeah, why do you lose your time? It can't work. So I was like, no, I will defend my situation because it works. If you do the things with a good way, it works. And so yeah, actually, if I can earn money with the blog, it can be a solution too. The first product you can find in the blog is eBook. I published 3 ebooks of question. 365 questions for each ebook who permit to the healthier couple to get involved during hours and evening and which help them to know the other and to play games together and to help them to in the situation in the distance.
How you started when you flew back to Paris the first time? Like getting to know how you started, like getting to know each other by asking different questions, choosing a number, and then surprising each other with the question you're going to drop next. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I have been through, just a little side note, through your ebook, and I think it's an amazing idea. It's very interesting. It's totally different. It's very unique. And I would like to talk like a little bit more about that because, as you said, Leo, there are not so many people, but I see that it's getting more and more. But right now it's still like a handful of people offering free content and help in general for couples that are in long distance relationships, especially. So there's help for multicultural couples. I see that more and more as well, but long distance, it's still a niche. So what is it you're doing exactly with the blog? Who did you create the blog for? And yeah, how can everyone who's interested to learn more about it find you guys?
Yeah, the first target of the blog is a couple like us who are from different countries or who are very far away. For example, a couple in the east side of USA and the west side, or with separated by an ocean like Kyomi and I. Because there weren't a lot of resources on internet about it. And I created the blog with the experience we had with Kyomi, and because I wanted to tell to other couple how we did to make our couple work and to make our relation work, and to propose all the resources possible for them to make it work too. So for me the biggest obstacle of LDR is as I said the routine and the fact when you're in distance you are limited. There is a lot of things you can do like dance, go in a bar, everything which is physically possible. Thanks. And so I create lots of tools and resources and documents on the blog, like the challenge I said. I create an article about 100 activity you can do remotely. Everything who help a couple to find new activity or to I don't know how to pronounce it, to strengthen their couple.
To be stronger.
To strengthen the relationship,
Yep.
And it's
I think for the next year I will start to publish more about how to close the distance, because the blog grow with our couple too. The first years in distance, our biggest problem was the routine. So I create an article about this. And now we are starting to find a way to close the distance. It inspired me to write too. And Kyomi will help me a lot with the blog. I am the writer, but everything who is around the blog is from Kyomi, like the idea of subject, the pictures. Has his English is better than mine. She corrects me sometimes. She's like my first support.
Mm-hmm.
And this is her who had the idea of create this blog. So
Mm-hmm.
Even if in the mail I send or in the article I speak from my point of view, behind there is the point of view of Kyomi too.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of readers who told me it was interesting because they can have the point of view of a man who is not common about LDR. So it permits us to more understand their boyfriend, because most of the readers are women.
Yeah, most of the content creators for LDRs or for the LDR community, actually you're the only one I know that's male, to be honest, and I know quite a few. So that's also very interesting, and I was surprised. It's a cliche, I think, but I was surprised when I learned that you, Leo, that you are the one writing the blog posts actually. And this is also one of the reasons I really wanted to learn more about you. I wanted to learn more about your dynamic. I wanted to learn more about like what actually brought you to where you are now, to the blog, and to share so much amazing content. I mean, how many articles are online at this point?
Today there is more than 30.
More than, yeah. You publish every Wednesday, no?
Yep, exactly. Every Wednesday, sometimes it's the Thursday. And but most of the read, I really want to propose an interesting content and something unique, because when you see tips who say, yeah, you have to communicate, you have to be honest. Yes, I know, but how I can do it?
Yeah.
And this is the how who is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's for that most of my articles are very long, and it takes me time to write it. But when I click on the publish button with Kyomi, we're like, we are proud of our work.
Yeah, you can be very proud, because I'm just amazed that, like, I can only imagine how many hours you've spent on this blog. It's incredible. It's really great. And I admire anyone who's doing it like as a passion. And I really hope that you can make a business out of it, and that the community is going to grow in general, and that more people, because that's another thing. I know there's a huge Facebook group for LDR couples, but I feel like there's content out there, and if there's a way to summarize it, that's amazing, because right now you have like a little bit of that and a little bit of this, and then it's still like the whole picture is somehow missing. And if you be able to combine it in the way you're doing it, by basically providing information like before closing the distance, while closing the distance, after closing the distance, getting to know each other, that's like the all-around package, what you're doing there, and that's a lot of work. But what's the so the name of the blog is My Sweet LDR, right?
Yep,
okay.
Totally.
This is also your Instagram account. I'm going to link everything in the side notes. So for everyone who's listening or now watching, you can definitely check it out in the description below or in the side notes. And I normally end podcast with one simple question, which is not that simple. But if you could give one advice to everyone who is in a long distance relationship, because this is what you're specialized on, if you could say so, what advice would you like to give?
I think one of the most important things, if you want to keep to trust in your couple and to stay focused on your decision and emotion and know if your relation is worth it, is to know, or to approximately know, when you will see the other again. I know it's complicated, and especially because of the pandemic. But if you don't know when you will see the others, you don't know why you do video call. You don't know why you spend time with someone, with this person. There is a lack of sense if you don't have a final objective. And for me, this is something very important. You don't need to exactly know the day or even the month, but to have this approximately in mind, to have this date is a good advice I can give. It's like, for example, if you need to run a marathon, marathon, we say it in English. Yeah. You know, it is 42 kilometers. So it's easier to run 42 kilometers when you know you have this number to run. If someone tell you, okay, run, and they will tell you when to stop, it's very hard to run during 2 hours, 3 hours and continue, because you don't know the objective exactly.
Yeah. That's a good example you're giving there. That's true. I mean, I've never run a marathon, but yeah.
So if elder couple listen to us and don't know when they will meet the couple, call them after this video.
Thank you so much, guys, for your time and for telling your story. I really appreciate your work. I really appreciate you being so open towards the idea to talk to me, and also to like being recorded on video, as this is going to be the first YouTube video I'm going to publish. And I really appreciate you. And as mentioned before, I'm going to link everything in the side notes and in the description below the video, in case you're listening to it on YouTube. So that for anyone who is in a long distance relationship, maybe even has a similar background as you guys, because I had one of the first podcast episodes I was able to record was with a couple. She's from Peru as well, and he's from Germany. So there are a lot of similarities, for example, and I feel like this is going to help a lot of people also when it comes to, hey, how is it to blend two different cultures, the European culture and the Peruvian culture. In our case, in Natural Mind case, it's the European and the Argentinian culture, because I feel like a lot of way of thinking in Europe is the same. At least when it comes to Germany, France, and other countries surrounding it. And yeah, to basically get to an end with this conversation, except there's anything else you would like to share, now is your chance.
Yep. If you want more information about how to manage a healthier, visit our blog and listen to the podcast of International Love Story.
Perfect.